Okay, folks, so as we know, the Bible is full of wild stories. Bushes that talk, clouds that fly, wheels covered in eyes, and I always thought that was pretty cool. For centuries, people called them miracles. But what if they weren't supernatural at all? What if the ancient writers of the Bible were describing technology, but they were just using the only language that they had? This concept first went through my brain as a 16-year-old watching Ancient Aliens on the History Channel one day after school, and ruined my entire life thereby after. I know it's not the most original theory in the world, but it's one of my favorite ones to explore and dive into. Hey there, folks, and welcome back to another episode of the Evening Goose. Once again, I am your host, Andrew Ginsberg. I'm a former tech employee turned stand-up comedian, and now I spend all my time diving into the latest and greatest mysteries in AI, technology, space, and beyond. And lately, I've been getting really into these Bible stories. The last video I put out was about Enoch, and then it kind of sent me down a whole rabbit hole thinking about aliens and the Bible. And to me, this is the basis of all weird internet conspiracy theories in the first place. I like taking subjects like the Bible, things that everybody's been discussing for all of time, and looking at them a little sideways. These are the best topics: ancient aliens, consciousness, AI. What if the miracles in the Bible were actually technological events witnessed by people who had no vocabulary to describe what they were seeing? So folks, let's grab your tinfoil hat and let's open the good book. Around 593 BCE, the prophet Ezekiel watched the sky rip open. Quote, "A great cloud with flashing lightning surrounded by brilliant light. Within it, a wheel within a wheel." This could not be a metaphor for faith, as some believe. This could be a technical sketch of a UFO. NASA engineer Joseph Blumrich actually reverse engineered Ezekiel's description in the 1970s and concluded that the spaceship could fly, complete with rotors and landing struts. A literal rocket scientist read the Bible and went, "Yeah, that's a spaceship. That makes sense." Ezekiel even writes that the craft rose from the ground and went wherever the spirit went. Be right back, building a temple. Modern UAP reports describe the same thing. Metallic craft spinning, studded with glowing spheres. To Ezekiel, it was the glory of God. Not a bad guess. To a 21st century pilot that you'd see on one of these crackhead disclosure hearings going on, it would be unidentified aerial phenomenon, close range, rotating. Maybe it wasn't God descending. Maybe it was literal visitors from the heavens. Next, let's talk about Moses and that burning bush. This is a bush that burns but doesn't burn out, and a voice seems to be coming from the light. Ancient astronaut theorists see this as an energy event, a plasma field, or protection. Modern astronaut theorists, such as myself, see this as some guy who maybe took too many shrooms and was talking outside to the bush. Modern science even has a cousin to this. It's called ball lightning. It hovers, it radiates, and weirdly, it can emit a low frequency hum that sounds like people talking. Now, if you check out my video on seeing the Northern Lights, I described the same type of phenomena when I was in Iceland, thinking that the lights were kind of alive and communicating with me. So, not that crazy to me. Earth does this type of stuff. Every major encounter in the scripture follows the same pattern: light, vibrations, message. Those are also the hallmarks of all modern UAP reports. Maybe Moses wasn't hallucinating at all. Maybe he was just being briefed by something actually very real, but just beyond his understanding. Now, let's talk about the great pillar of fire. During the Exodus, the Israelites are guided by a pillar of cloud during the day and a pillar of fire at night. Deep words, that's some serious prose, but it could just be referring to a hovering craft. Bright propulsion at night, vapor or an ion trail visible in the daylight. Some passages even said that the pillar stood between the army and the people, like a defensive maneuver. I picture an enormous aerial vehicle putting itself between the pursuers and the refugees, projecting the light so intense that it blinds one side and illuminates the other. To ancient eyes, it was a miracle. To modern folks like me, it sounds just like the Jersey drone sighting. Now, I want to be clear, I am a crackhead, but I'm not saying that God was a UFO. But we have to just remember, and this was the fundamentals to all ancient astronaut theory, if an advanced civilization actually did ever visit Earth, they'd look exactly like what ancient folks described as divine, luminous beings descending from the sky. And if you compare these old Bible stories to modern UAP reports, they do describe a lot of the same stuff. Glowing orbs, sudden communication, an overwhelming sense of presence. It's really the same story with a different translation. It would be cool to me if the Bible wasn't proof of miracles, but just a really old log of all UFO events that occurred. Whether you call them angels, algorithms, or aliens, the message really hasn't changed throughout history. You're not alone, and you never were. Folks, I'm Andrew Ginsberg with the Evening Goose. Please like, subscribe, support the channel. I'm bubbling up some new changes and formats for this channel, some new types of content and videos that'll be coming out later in the year. I appreciate everybody for following, and we'll see you next time. Thank you very much.